Guys, before we jump into today's podcast, we want to announce today's video sponsor is Wedgewood Cove. Wedgewood's a championship-style links golf course located in Albert Lea, Minnesota. It's got the 18-hole course, driving range. Downstairs, there's even a high-tech simulator, full bar and restaurant, and a pro shop that's loaded up with all the hottest golf gear to have you set for this golf season. And when you make your tee time, be sure to tell them Mikey and Peach sent you. And with that, let's get into today's podcast.
Attention! Teeing off at hole one, we have the Jolly Green Giant, the tall guy, Big,
Mikey Polis.
and the lefty, who can hit a banana.
Nice. Well done.
Yes, Big Peach!
All right, guys, welcome back to episode 7 of the Public Course Golf Podcast, and we are over the moon excited with the fact that this is our first episode. We are filming on location at our channel and episode sponsor of Wedgewood Cove. So as you see, we got our flag brought with us. We are in the banquet room today of Wedgewood Cove. There's some people downstairs right now playing the simulator, and so the bar's got a handful of people in it. The restaurant's got people in it, so we are back. They set us in the corner of probably the prettiest view banquet room that you're gonna find. If you ever are looking for a place to maybe hold a event, a wedding, a business meeting, be sure to head to wedgewoodcove.com. Check those guys out. Reach out to Tina as their events manager, and she'll get you led in the right direction to potentially hold your event here.
Well,
I held my wedding here.
You got married here. You got your nuptials. I mean, I feel. Can you feel the love? Honestly,
Oh, I can feel the love, baby.
Can you feel the love tonight? Tonight.
So yeah, we were actually my wife and I, we both worked here, and we were one of the first weddings here. It was really fun because we worked and all the employees were good friends, and it was really fun to experience our wedding here, and then obviously having
high school sweethearts.
Yeah, we've been together. We were 15,
yeah.
So we're going on 20 years of being together. So Betsy, shout out, sweet pea. But it was fun because that had to be probably your first time here, right?
Yeah, I mean, we love it. I mean, yeah.
So being in the wedding, got to be here, and I think that was probably your first time at Wedgewood, right?
And then all of a sudden, we've been here a lot of years since.
Now we golf, and now all of a sudden they're sponsors of our
when you have your
channel.
Wedding anniversary, it's golf anniversary.
Right, it's our golf anniversary.
Yeah.
So that's
and
perfect.
Betsy, she just is okay with that.
She loves it.
She becomes a golf widow. We'll talk about that later.
That's why ooh. That's a little sneak peek
into what we're going to talk about
this
today.
week's episode of Slang Terms. We got 5 of the hottest golf slang terms.
Slang terms.
Da, 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 da. It's fun. This is our first podcast we film on location. It's obviously not live. You guys are seeing this after the fact, but we filmed it on location. We got the best backdrop right here. We got hole one's tee box going off. We got some houses in the distance. Silky poured us up a couple of beers and cocktails. It's fantastic.
No one's playing golf because it's 45 degrees, but you know what? That's Minnesota for you.
Right, and it's almost dark now.
Yeah, people aren't playing right now. Yeah,
it's one of those. It's like you get to a certain point though. Like the course is open. Everybody's like the tee sheet from there's a big old seagull out there. The tee sheet from last weekend was completely filled, and it actually was a bunch of out-of-towners coming here. Because like we mentioned in the last episode, and Paul had highlighted, is the fact that you don't feel like you're in a rural Minnesota town when you're here.
No.
I mean, this building feels like you'd be in the biggest of cities and the nicest of golf courses.
Well, and I'm tired of the stereotypes. Little towns have nice stuff too.
Right?
Come on. I mean,
right?
So it's not like this is a brand new thing. Oh my gosh,
But it's the shocking thing. It doesn't, feel like it's. I mean, it has its moments where it feels like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
With the small town stuff. But you get a lot of the amenities that you get in a big city, and Wedgewood is one of the best at doing and providing those spots. So it's fun. I think it was really fun for us to do the slang terms last week. That was a really fun episode.
And those are all saved in my brain, and I can't wait to use them on the course. I really can't.
So hopefully, again, if you guys think of your own slang terms, please drop those in the comment section down below. We're going to jump right into this week's
segment featuring the we're going to bring it down to 5 this time, because I think each week we're going to try to
add some in, but we're going to try to get our own in there.
We're going to try to get it. So
Yeah.
we'll do 5, maybe we find online,
Yeah.
and then 5 from you guys. So again, let's jump right into this
Yeah.
week's segment of Slang Terms. Jumping right into it, especially in Minnesota, we've had a long winter. The golf courses are open, at least starting to be. In southern Minnesota, they've been open now for a week or so, but I know
When you
up in
say
the
long
metro-
winter, we only have, we have 4 seasons in Minnesota, but when you think about it, it's actually fall, winter, spring, summer.
Spring, that's it.
Yeah,
So it's
I mean,
pretty much, I'm going to say it's 2 and 2 blips.
Yeah.
You get winter and summer, and then you get just
It's like Patrick
blip.
Cantlay still trying. Winter is like him approaching a ball, and then when he actually strikes it, that's spring.
Then also, boom,
Yeah.
spring,
Yeah,
and then we're in
summer.
summer.
Yeah, exactly.
And then summer will be him working on that same thing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom. And then all of a sudden, walk into the next shot is fall.
Yep.
And then, boom.
Yep.
And it's just,
And then winter is when he's like really thinking about a shot because it takes a long
that's
time.
that 2 minute and 50 second clip that there were some people it must have been at the Heritage.
Yeah.
Filmed on their phone. They set a timer the moment he was going to shoot. It's 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
God.
That's definitely winter. It was long.
That takes me as long as to have our drink.
Right,
We're already
exactly.
done by then. We need another one. Where's the cart? Where's the cart girl?
Or Silky.
Yeah.
Silky. Actually, we'll walk up there.
Yeah, we'll walk him. Yeah.
So the first segment, or the first term, I guess, it perfectly signifies anybody in Minnesota or the Midwest playing golf right now. And number 1 is golf widow. PJ, what's a golf widow?
Well, I made reference to it earlier in this little segment, or this little part of the podcast. But a golf widow is kind of like our wives, what they feel like. We know so much about golf. We know Jack Nicklaus's birthday more than our wife's and our anniversary, right?
100%.
It's the wife who's like, oh, yep, it's golf season. I'll see you later.
Yep.
She knows that we're out and about playing golf, and she's got to be okay with it.
She likes it.
Yeah.
She likes the podcast. You guys should as well.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
And we anybody who plays golf a lot realizes that if you have wife and kids, you're away from them.
It's the same type of thing. Yeah, I feel like there's 2 other times that this comes up. 1, it comes up during harvest season in
Yep.
the Midwest.
Yep.
As a farmer, you get like a farmer's widow because literally farmers are out in the fields 24/7.
Unless the wife is working with them.
Right,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
very well could be.
Could happen a lot.
But
yeah.
and the other time you hear it is hunting season.
Yep.
It's a hunter's widow.
Yep.
It's the same thing. It's because people are hunting. You wait so long. Hunting's only really on weekends too for a lot of people because they're working. Even with golf season, we wait so long to play golf here.
Hence why we wait for the winter, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Finally, the time to play. It's going to be nice weather, and it's kind of a short time.
I mean, it really
you want to
is,
make
but-
the best of it. Yeah.
Before you know it, it's going to start getting cold again.
Yep.
And it's one of those things you hate to say and you don't want to say it, but it's true. That's what happens. So you kind of take advantage of as much opportunity as you can, which we are going to do at Wedgewood Cove because they are the sponsor of this channel. So
Yes.
being able to go play golf and show you guys this amazing course is really an honor for
Yeah,
us.
it
And
is.
I can't say it enough. Paul can't say it enough.
No.
We can't thank the owners, Donnie, everybody at Wedgewood for kind of supporting this channel and for us being able to show
Well,
up.
when you
It's
think
pretty
about the golf widow too, it's like, it's just kind of a understanding that golf is going to happen and that you're like my dad will say like, hey, why don't you leave a picture of yourself so at least they can look at it when you're gone,
Your kids will have a photo of you.
Yeah, but it's all for the love of the game and for friendship building. And you know what? Get the whole family out playing golf though. Then that's what we got to do.
Right.
As your kids get older.
My girls
yeah.
really want to
Yeah.
go play. I know Will loves to play.
Yeah, he loves to play. And Sylvia likes
He
to go.
played with us last year.
Yeah, and Sylvia, well, my other daughter, she loves to just ride the cart and
Right.
and
Just hang out.
Yeah, it can be a family thing.
And when you can
Yeah.
really make it a lifestyle, because it's it's one of those things. Like as a kid, I loved driving our golf cart and being out in the golf course. And yes, I played golf since I was very little, but just being with my dad, my grandpa, being able to go experience those things. And my grandpa's not here anymore; he's been gone for a really long time now. But there's so many memories I remember of being on the golf course with my dad and grandpa, and it's one of those. It's perfect. And the perfect spot to do that is at a public golf course.
Exactly.
Because everybody gets the opportunity. There's something, you have your kids with you in the golf cart, and they haven't played. Maybe you let them hit a couple shots here and there.
They can even put their hands on the steering wheel and drive around.
Right, drive around a little bit, and that's where it's okay. People are going to understand having your kids getting out to play.
I can't even tell you, Mike, how many times when I'm out with Will,
Yeah.
even when you're not with us and we're playing in Fairmont or wherever else. Oh, it's so awesome to get your kid out. It's
Right.
like, well, to me, it's like, well, thanks for saying that, but of course I am because he's my son.
Right.
I want him to play golf. I want him. This is a great time for dad and son bonding time.
Right? Your mom, daughter, or mom,
Whoever
dad,
it is.
daughter,
Yeah,
whoever it is,
yeah,
just
whoever
having
it
your
is. Yeah,
kids
yeah.
out there is, I don't know, it's so fun. And
Everyone can play and everyone welcome. Like
right,
on your
exactly,
hat.
right
Yep.
here.
Yep.
Everybody welcome. Public course golf, baby. So that's going to bring us into number 2 of this week's top 5 list is bag rat. Number
rat.
2 is bag rat. PJ, what's a bag rat?
Well, a bag rat is if we are even so lucky to have a caddy, then we'd call him the bag rat. But even if I had a caddy and I called him the bag rat, he probably is a better golfer than me, and he should call me the bag rat because I probably want him to shoot the shots instead of me.
It's really cool, like in the Full Swing documentary.
Yeah.
The Full Swing documentary, you see Dustin Johnson. His brother is his caddy.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
it's really cool to hear them. I couldn't imagine like being a professional golfer, having your brother, or if you don't have a brother, you got your best friend out there.
Yeah.
Could you imagine just the two of you, that's what you do. But they actually have at a lot of tournaments, they'll do golf tournaments, and certain holes will be played by just the caddies.
Oh.
It's like Dustin Johnson's brother is
Probably amazing.
maybe not as good as DJ is,
Yeah.
but he could easily be on the tour.
Well,
though.
if you spend that much time around the game, you have to have some skill. You can't just be somebody. Even every coach out there played the sport. Caddies are essentially a coach kind of.
Right. If you're on the tour and you have me as your caddy, and I'm giving you a recommendation, you would hope that I would know enough to be like, you know what, I think you need to be at a 6-iron right here for this reason,
You're probably my conscience when I'm thinking outside the box too much.
Yeah.
Someone's got to hone you in your skills and
And
say,
that's-
hey, don't do this. So it's kind of like that, like Geppetto.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Your conscience. That's a weird Pinocchio reference. I don't know. We have young kids.
That's
I guess.
a good movie.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
a good
the
movie. Yeah.
You know what's funny is I got the Pinocchio DVD from Betsy for Christmas, it was either Christmas or my birthday a handful of years ago, because I love that movie.
Yeah, well, hey,
Pinocchio.
Shout out Pinocchio. Sponsor us.
Sponsor us, Pinocchio. Geppetto.
We won't lie. Seriously, unless we need a long,
We might lie on the golf course.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, a little bit. Depending upon what our lie is. At the golf course,
Yeah, well played, brother.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
All right, that brings us to number 3. This is you want to feel like, with this one, you want to feel like you know what you're talking about because it's the same thing where, if you're wide open, you can't hit the green probably 8 times out of 10. You're not going to hit the green. But all of a sudden, you're going to end up in a patch of trees with a gap that's this big, and you're like, no problem. I'll slice it. I'll banana hook it through there.
Yeah,
I'll set it up on the front. It'll be just fine.
Yep.
But
Wearing banana boat sunscreen.
with
Yeah.
a banana hammock on. Who knows? You could do that at a public
eating a
course.
banana.
So that brings us to probably a big question that a lot of people are going to ask, but really it doesn't matter. But does it open up over there? Is it open over there?
I mean, how many times do you
am I
ask
going to get
that?
it through?
Yeah, and it's like even people who play the course all the time. Does it open up over there? How does it look over there? You still ask that question, and the answer is no. All the time. I mean, it is. You should just not even ask the question, but you ask it because you're secretly hoping, I'm probably going to hit a bad shot here, and I'm thinking it'll make me feel better knowing that it opens up over there. It opens up, right?
Quote unquote.
Quote unquote.
Does it open up over there? Like, it doesn't matter. You're not going to hit a green the size of Texas. It doesn't matter.
No.
But you want to be able to put yourself in that mentality.
Because there's that one spot where it does open up, and because you're such a good golfer,
You think
you're
you'll
going to
put it
hit
there.
that one spot where it opens up, but you can't hit the broadside of a barn when it comes to just a straight-on shot.
A straight-on shot with nothing, and you need to hit the green with your pitching wedge, and you sail it over by.
But you're worried
15
about if
yards.
it opens up over there.
So that's one of those. So number 4 is going to bring us to the green. So this is going to be around when you're kind of like the snowman type of thing. But you know what? 4 Jack, Can you tell us about a four
Hey,
jack?
if you ever
PJ?
four-jacked a hole, I don't know. I didn't realize I had until I read this terminology. I think I four-jacked plenty of them. But four-jack means that you four-putt. And, a three-putt is kind of like, you three-putted? No. I four-putted.
You four-putt, you
Yeah.
four-jack.
And how many guys have actually four-putted when they four-jacked a hole, but they say they three-putted?
9 times out of 10.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah.
And I bet, what would be kind of cool is to see a four-jack line up with a snowman. If
Yeah.
you four-jack, maybe you're on a par 4, you're on green and regulate. Well, no, that would have been a 5-putt.
It'd be a four-jack frost because of the snow.
If you can four-jack Frost into a snowman, are you kidding? Nice. Well
Hey,
played,
there
buddy.
you go. It's Christmas.
Hey, right there.
Butter my buns, it's Christmas. But when you four-jack a hole, as I was reading, it's only acceptable if you drive the green on a par 5.
Oh,
Then it's
could
totally
you
acceptable.
imagine
Yeah.
hitting the... If you could even get remotely close. You ever been close to an albatross? This is going to be a sidebar.
Yeah.
Albatross is not one of them.
Yeah.
But if you get an
It's
albatross,
it's
a
another
2.
slang term, though.
It is a
Yeah.
slang term. It's
Yeah.
if you get a 2 on a par 5, because then you got to, you get 2 under, it's an eagle. So albatross is if you get a 2 on a par 5. But have you ever been close to getting an albatross?
Only when I was thinking about getting a tattoo of an albatross.
Get an
Otherwise,
albatross
that's
right
the-
here.
Yeah.
Like Rescuers
Yeah.
Down Under.
Yeah.
I forget, what's his name?
Launchpad?
Yeah.
No, that's from. Yeah, this is a Launchpad. No, that's from. That's from DuckTales.
DuckTales.
Yeah.
Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers.
Yeah.
No, I forget, not Wilbur.
Is it? I think it's Wilbur.
It maybe is Wilbur.
Wilbur, I think it is.
From
yeah.
Rescuers Down Under. Shout out Wilbur, dude.
Yeah.
Albatross Airlines.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So you know what albatrosses don't do is they don't nip it. Do you nip it? Because I don't nip it. Do you nip it?
I nip it good. You must nip it.
Number
Nip it.
5 is nip
good.
it. Nip it good.
Yeah, Michael
Number
Jackson
5.
sang this one.
PJ, tell about a little nip it, huh?
Nip it is when you just want a little, just a little kiss. It's a nip it. No, nip it is where a nip it is where.
You don't get backspin on a nip it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it happens all the time. For me, at least. That's why I told you the last time we had a podcast. I use my 5-wood and the fairway because I cannot get a divot with my irons, and I got to work on it. But maybe someday I will. But you see the pros on TV; they always get a divot on their irons. But unless they try to nip it, which is where they lift it off, basically to
Pick it off.
Yeah, pick it off the ground to not have any backspin. Well, when that happens and it's a good shot, when I do it, I'm not trying to do that.
None of us
And
are
that's
trying
where
to
the
do it.
real term nip it comes from.
None of us are trying to do it. Like, to actually, I've heard it like pick it, especially
Pick it?
you're in the
Yeah.
sand.
Yep.
If you're on a fairway sand. If you're on a green side sand, you want some finesse
Yeah.
to it. But if you're out in a fairway sand,
Like 200 yards out.
yeah,
still.
so you could be
like
using
a par 5 sand.
And if
Yeah.
if you don't have a fried egg,
Yep, fried egg.
if you're
And you hit a
rolled in-
better shot than an elephant's ass.
Hey,
Yep.
there it
Yeah,
is. See,
it is, yeah.
if you just roll one into the sand trap and you can pick one off with like a 3-wood from that far out, I've heard it as pick it, but to hear it as a nip it, I've never heard it like that.
Well, nip it it just feels like you're just kind of like pick it feels like you're lifting it off. Nip it feels like there was more power behind it.
Yeah,
Like
a little more oomph.
Yeah.
A little more nuts behind
Yeah.
it.
Where the end comes from. But so those are our 5 terms this time. But what we were talking about is these are so funny because golf has so much nuance that there's so many ideas for how you could think of terms. And I'm sure all of these started as someone said it, and then someone else repeated it, and then it was repeated again, and then it traveled somewhere else. And so before you know it, then it became a term that people use.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun for us to think of some terms.
I think we should. So we'll
And you
try
guys
to
should
throw-
think of some terms.
You guys please work on them as well.
Yeah.
And please drop them in the comment section down below. And like we said in the last podcast, maybe we'll feature some of them on the podcast itself. They'll be in our top list, whether we do a top 5 or top 10.
Yep.
What would be nice is to work into top 5 or a top 10 total. We find 5 online and 5 come from us and you guys. This
Yeah.
is just as much your guys' podcast as it is ours.
And
We're
even
deli-
if you think of things that are already on websites, who cares? If
It
it's
don't
something
matter.
you use, that's what people do of the public. This is public course golf. So if this is what public people use, then write it down.
Send it our way.
Yeah, send it our way.
It's just as much your guys' podcast as it is ours. We're obviously delivering the message and being on camera, but we want to bring things that get you guys involved and kind of make it a thing for everybody. I mean, that's our whole slogan is everybody. It's for everybody.
Yes.
So that's our big thing. So before we continue on, we want to hear from today's video sponsor, which is Wedgewood Cove. Wedgewood's a championship-style links golf course located in Albert Lea, Minnesota. It's got the 18-hole course, driving range. Downstairs, there's even a high-tech simulator, full bar and restaurant, and a pro shop that's loaded up with all the hottest golf gear to have you set for this golf season. Be sure to head to wedgewoodcove.com to make your tee time. Be sure to tell them Mikey and Peach sent you. And back to the podcast.
So on the golf course, a lot of times some things happen that are unexpectedly good, right? And you're thinking, oh my gosh, is this my luck?
Right.
And
I finally made it.
And we feel
I finally did it.
You know, with us being our generation, when the Wolves finally make the playoffs, we feel like we finally made it.
We finally are there. We're to the promised land.
And it just matters getting into the first round, which is so sad. But that's our expectations because we're from Minnesota.
And it's, you get to the first round, you know, outside of, so 2004 was the year they went to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, that
We
was a
had
great
Jimmy
year.
Butler in 18.
Yeah, 17 or 18. Yeah.
17 or 18, we made it.
Yep.
Back in, we did it wasn't the play-in then, right?
No, it wasn't play-in.
No, it wasn't play-in. So we made it. We played Houston. I think Houston beat us 4-1,
They had James Harden.
4-2. They beat us up really good.
Yep.
And so then we went again for a couple years. We didn't make it. And then last year, we made it through the play-in tournament. Charles Barkley fucking heckled us so hard.
Yeah, he did. Because, you know, we made it to play in. Patrick Beverly got on the scorer's table, pounding his chest. The thing is, though, he doesn't understand that. I don't know if Patrick Beverly was thinking about this, but when I remember vividly when I was in middle school,
Kevin Garnett
going to watch Kevin Garnett, and I was at the game, and he got up on the scorer's table, and he was pounding his chest, and I thought it was the absolutely coolest thing ever. He was my favorite athlete of all time to start with.
Doesn't matter the sport.
No.
It doesn't matter
No.
anything. Kevin Garnett
Yeah.
literally set a foundation as a Minnesota sports fan.
And commitment and loyalty to what, you know, he didn't change teams till the very end. Like, he was like, I'm going to lead this team, even if we don't make it, he's the only one that basically does everything.
Yeah.
He showed that loyalty and that commitment, which all Minnesotans, I think, have deep down. That loyalty that, well, we live in a cold climate. Like, why would we be here?
There's so many people that will be like, why on God's green earth do you live in Minnesota?
Exactly.
And it's one of those, you're committed here. I mean, it's in the summertime, there's a handful, and it's with a lot of the weird climate change stuff, we've really gotten down to only a handful of really beautiful months. But I mean,
you know,
we endure a lot of struggle
to get here, and that's why I think we love golf season so much, even more, because we realize it's kind of like absence makes the heart grow fonder. You know, like
you really appreciate.
You really appreciate it, and so Kevin Garnett had that exemplified that commitment to a team. Well, he probably could have been, you know. Thankfully, back then there wasn't the super teams that were, you know,
which is
because if he existed now, he would have been. They would have, you know, he would probably have multiple championships.
Right.
He would have.
Which, I mean,
he deserves, but
he does more than anything.
Yeah.
He deserves to have his number in the rafters, and hopefully now with this regime change of
ownership,
getting A-Rod and Mark Lowry in there.
Retire
hopefully
21.
They get 21 up in the rafters. Nobody deserves to wear 21. Like
it's a
Kevin
travesty
Garnett
he's
did.
not already up there. So just get it up there.
And I know he has a big issue with Glenn Taylor, but hopefully they can figure that out now. Get him maybe involved in even some ownership stuff. Could you imagine? I feel like Mark Cuban set this kind of that threshold as an owner for the Mavericks, sitting on the baseline, sitting courtside,
being involved,
the owner involved,
being like in the public eye,
being and then being in that eye, being courtside. You see him in a game. Could you imagine having A-Rod on one side, Mark Lowry on the other side, taking his shoes off, waving them in the air, and then Kevin Garnett sitting on a baseline, barking at you as an opposing player?
Well, I'd like to know.
Never come to the Target Center.
I think every single player on the Wolves would be motivated because Kevin Garnett would not settle for not passion on the sideline. You would not see passive behavior.
You wouldn't, and I think it's really good. I don't know. You get somebody like A-Rod, involved in ownership.
Well, because he's seen it, done it. He's been a part of things. He knows how sports work, the business part of it.
One of the greatest baseball players ever.
He knows the work ethic that is involved.
Yeah. So to have him involved is something really special. So it'd be cool to, I don't know, you throw Kevin Garnett on the top as a cherry on top for anything, which would be really cool.
And, relating it back to what we were saying about golf, you never expect, like, with golf, you have expectations of things, but you realize that, okay, if I reach even like half of that, I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And I feel like Minnesota sports have that mentality too, unfortunately. We wish we could have the mentality of like, this is what we expect. We always expect to be the playoffs.
You better be in the finals every year.
Yes. And in Minnesota, we have teams that made the playoffs, and we are, big fans of that because that's kind of like our golf shot. It's kind of like our birdie putt that we all of a sudden made.
And you
it's
ride
our,
it
it's
to
our
the next
albatross
year.
that you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
It's the fact that we finally got something there, and we can ride home about that.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't follow, you got the Timberwolves who were in the first round of the playoffs. They had made it this year. The Wild made it to the first round of the playoffs. So to have a team, it's like that's kind of our promised land. Is just making it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You wanna be one of those teams. Your expectation is to make it to the finals every year, whether it's basketball, baseball. It doesn't matter. You want your professional sports teams to make it every year. The Twins are off to a hot start again this year.
Yep.
Which is nice to see. Unfortunately, that's just part of it for us as Minnesota sports fans. Is we're okay. We made it there, and that's good for us.
And maybe that's where golf comes into play. When you talk about the reason why golf is so important to, it's important to a lot of people, but especially Minnesotans, like speaking on behalf of them, because it's always a new day, and you always get a chance to make the playoffs again.
You have always a chance. Maybe the next round is it's gonna be your PR personal record round is next week. Yeah. Next week at Men's League, I guarantee I've honed it in. I'm going to birdie that hole. I'm going to eagle that hole.
It's not like you can almost be swept in the playoffs like teams have been in Minnesota, where you get swept, but with golf you can be swept and then come right back. You're not have to restart the entire season.
Right. And you're not building that whole year.
No.
And I think that's the beauty in golf is on the professional level is you got so there was a player for the LIV Tour that was just complaining they had 14 events. The LIV golfers have 14 events in 2023. He thinks it should be 18 events. You get DJ and Brooks, both were like, nope, 14 is good. Mm-hmm. That's, if you watch the Full Swing documentary with Dustin Johnson, he specifically says, he goes, if you have somebody that can do your same job, but work less and make more money, you're going to take that job. That's why DJ went to LIV.
Yeah.
He plays less golf, but he makes more money. That's his whole thing. And he said, if you don't do it, you're silly for not doing it.
Well, if there's an opportunity that money can be made for doing less work, fortunately, I don't know how you look at that because, as a teacher, I try to instill work ethic in my students. But if they know they only have to do this much work to get this
passing grade,
then it's kind of like
they're not going to do that much. They're going to do that much to get that passing grade.
Is that good for the betterment of how we become better in our society? That's where I'm like,
no, it's really not.
Is that really what I understand DJ's logic
he's
there.
golfed for a long time, and that was kind of part of the argument.
Thinking like, okay, you're just willing to. Is that just showing the fact that humans are lazy?
Yeah, DJ's golfed a long time, and he's making a shit ton of money.
Yeah,
and I think that's his whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is pretty rare. Yeah. That's not
a typical thing. It's not like, okay, I'll make tons of money for doing a lot less. That's not typical.
That doesn't equate and equivalate to a lot of really anything other than
to the public course golfer.
not at all.
The layperson. Yeah.
Maybe the shocking 0.0001% that make it to that level, and I think for him, he's a bit of an older golfer. Mm-hmm. He's not obviously on the senior tour. Nothing.
Are we old?
He's a little bit older.
Are we old golfers?
We would be. I'm going to clarify it. I know we're going to catch some heat for this, and I know a few of you who are going to specifically give me heat for this. No, we are not old, but if you look at it in the realm of professional sports, we are almost to the Brett Favre level of retirement to football. Yeah, when Brett Favre played his last year of football, he was an absolute grandfather of a quarterback.
Well,
but he's not that far off from us.
Did he have a grandkid, actually?
I think
a problem.
So. That's not that far from us. Here's the thing. I'm not saying that, us being 34, 35 years old.
I'm 36 now, buddy.
Oh my God, he just turned 36. I'm only 34 still. I don't turn 35. So
Yeah.
He's a grandpa.
Yeah.
Me, I'm not.
He's wet behind the ears.
I'll get there
Yeah.
in about a month.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. I'm not saying that these ages are old. Paul's not saying that these ages are old. What we're saying is on a professional level, again, I'm speaking to a couple of you that I know I'm going to catch heat for. There's a couple, you get to a certain point in a professional sporting career, you're the old man. Mike Conley. How many times do they refer to Mike Conley as the old man in the NBA playoffs?
Yeah, Barkley back when he was talking about Conley, back when it was back in game 2.
Game 2
Yeah,
for the Wolves.
He was saying I like. Shaq's like, who do you like? He's like, well, I like Mike Conley, but he's really old, and I like Anthony Edwards. And then Shaq's like, who else do you like? And
That's it.
He said, I finished.
I'm
so
done.
that's because they're just.
That's an insult because the Timberwolves have a really talented roster.
They do.
If Naz Reid
If you
didn't
had
break
Naz
his
Reid,
hand,
yeah.
or his wrist, if
Yeah.
Jaden McDaniels didn't break 2 bones in his hand,
He didn't get any votes for the defensive player. of
that's
the year.
bullshit.
Yes.
There is zero reason, as a healthy roster, there is zero reason that the Timberwolves are not a top 4 seed in the West.
Well,
by a mile.
The reason why is because, unfortunately, in sports, and this is bringing back to what we were talking about in sports, is with unexpected things happening, and Minnesota sports getting this viewpoint on us because we haven't done anything. Get to the Western Conference Finals and get back to me. Some people say that. Well, we are okay with settling, and we shouldn't be, but we are because that's all we can get recently is get to the playoffs. That's it.
Right.
And so we're happy with being able to have a 7-game series, and we have something to watch on TV to root our team on.
They made it to the playoffs.
They made it to the playoffs.
Top 8.
But if one of our teams in our lifetimes right now would reach the mountaintop, then they would have street cred.
We will
And
go
then-
absolute bananas.
Oh, my God.
If you get the Timberwolves, the Vikings, the Wild, or the Twins actually bring it home, I think, okay, we're going to make a deal with you guys right now.
Well, hey, Mike, I'm telling you what, if the Vikings won it, I already told Kristen, I am wearing a Vikings outfit every single day of the entire year. I will own an extra shirt that it won't be worn that has the championship thing on it just to keep it safe. I will have an extra hat that has not been worn to keep it I'm going to have a shrine for everything. I will be, besides the birth of my children and getting married, that'll be the most important thing in my life.
And launching this podcast.
And
Obviously.
and I'm not going to tell you which order it's in.
No, absolutely not. So I'm gonna make a bet with all you guys right here. It's not necessarily a bet, but I'm gonna make you guys a deal. If any of the 4 men's teams of the major sports win a championship, there's a pond right there. There's a pond outside this window. It's pink. It's a pond. You can see it on 1 and 18 here at
A
Wedgewood.
bunch of ducks have pooped in it.
A lot of them. And if any of the 4 major sports teams for the men's side of things win a championship, PJ and I will both belly flop into that pond.
Oh, God. I don't even care.
It'd be done. It'd be done. Easy.
And
done.
back to what I was saying about, just to make it clear, the links in women's sports should be celebrated more.
And they are an absolute. The last couple years, they've had a down year.
Well, with Simone Augustus and
Rebecca Brunson, Maya Moore. Cheryl
Lindsey
Reeves
Whelan.
is a Hall of Fame
Hall of
coach
Fame
on
coach.
every level. It doesn't matter, men's, women's, boys, girls. It doesn't
She
matter.
could coach men's basketball and have the same result.
She has the
could.
same thing as
Yeah.
Becky Hammon.
Yeah.
How she coached for the Spurs.
Yeah.
Cheryl Reeves could coach any team. And it's one of those. It's the athletic ability of a
It's
lot
the
of
way
those
things
guys.
have been set up systematically, which is wrong.
Which it is. But
So
it's
shout out to the links. Shout out to any women's basketball players or any women's sports. We are all for that. And talking about getting out. And
we both have little girls.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
we
one of
do.
those things.
Yeah.
Like, I have 2 little girls. PJ has 1 little girl. And it's one of those. It's
what we want.
You don't look at it, especially as you get into be a parent, you don't look at it so much as a men's and
No.
women's side. It's just sports in general.
Exactly.
Both my girls want to go out and play golf. I don't have any boys. You got Will.
1, yeah.
But it's like I have no boys as children. But they want to go play basketball. They want to play golf, and it's so I don't know. You don't look at it. You change and shift your mentality a little bit.
Well, and
as
that's
you-
where it brings it back to golf, is that everyone is welcome. And when you look out and you see on the golf course, it's everybody who can play.
It could be your grandfather.
They don't
your
check your
grandchild.
age. They don't check your this, that. They don't care about any of that. You play golf.
You play golf.
You
it
have
doesn't
fun.
matter. You could show
Your
up.
socioeconomic level doesn't matter in public golf courses either. Normally,
Not
it's like,
one bit.
Yeah.
You show up to the park to play basketball as an old man, you're going to get laughed off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
You show up at an open gym at the YMCA, your local YMCA as a kid, and you're going to play with the adults.
Yeah,
They're going to laugh.
they're
you
not
off
gonna
the
let you
floor.
play. They're gonna
golf.
think
It doesn't matter,
No.
and that's the joy of golf, and that's why everybody needs to play golf.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we are going to grab a cocktail, and we are going to head to the 19th hole, which today is brought to you guys by Buffalo Chase Bourbon. All right, so we're in the 19th hole. Today's episode is brought to you by Buffalo Trace Bourbon. This is our go-to after we finish up a round of golf at Wedgewood. This seems to be our go-to every single round.
Especially when it gets colder. But
Fall golf with a little pour of whiskey of a Buffalo Trace is fantastic.
Yeah, and we're truly at the 19th hole this time.
Yeah, we really are.
We are at the place that we would call the 19th hole. And the 19th hole is such a great thing to talk about because it brings everybody together at the end.
Yeah.
Whatever round you have.
No matter the round you shoot, you could have the round of your life or you could have the worst round of your life. It really doesn't matter.
Everyone comes together and everybody has a drink or a pop or whatever you want to have.
Maybe you're holding a Barbie doll or a dolphin or a woodchuck.
Which that happens based upon our game within the game.
Yeah.
Check that out.
So as you guys can tell, it's a little bit different. Our battery died on our big kind of studio camera, so we're on the phone right now. So we're
adapting.
19th hole, Buffalo Trace. That's worthy of skipping tic-tac-toe this week. It's hard to skip it, but again, we're on location today.
Well, you want to skip it because you keep losing.
I'm terrible at tic-tac-toe.
No.
And PJ is absolutely running the board on tic-tac-toe.
One thing I can run.
So I'm fine skipping it this week. So with that, guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. Cheers, brother, to another amazing episode.
Yes.
Thank you so much to Wedgewood. Filming on location. Hopefully we're going to have a lot more of these. If you dig today's video, please hit that thumbs up button. Hit the red subscribe button to not miss our episode next week. And with that,
We
catch you guys
say
later.
goodbye.